What we have here today is a magic heat. Now you're probably wondering, what the hell is a magic heat? Well, I'll tell you what a magic heat is. A magic heat can be described in one word, and that is disturbing. Yeah, a magic heat, as you can kind of see, as you can kind of tell, is an original knockoff, an original copy. In my opinion, it is the unholy union of an original with an Emerson friction drive. If you know anything about the friction drive, you'll know that it sucks in pretty much every way imaginable. Yeah, this is on the same level, actually. Yeah, same level. The only things on this entire fan that aren't plastic are the downrod, the motor itself, and the mounting bits. Probably thinking, wait, what? Switch? Plastic. Switch housing? Plastic. Blade irons? Plastic. Motor housing? Plastic. Canopy? Plastic. The blades are balsawood. Extremely light. They are solid balsawood, which I guess is probably the best thing about it. But here's the other problem. It has maybe a 10-degree blade pitch. Yeah, 10. 10-degree pitch. The motor in this thing is a puny little Westinghouse stack motor. Okay. Oh yeah, and the flywheel. Yep, also plastic. Now, you may notice the blade irons look like they're pitched on the flywheel. And you would be right. Okay? The blade irons naturally have about a 14, maybe 15 degree pitch. But then they realized that their motor was, well, incredibly underpowered. So what did they have to do? They had to actually design a flywheel specific to the fan that actually had pitched surfaces on it to lessen the overall blade pitch of the blades. Yeah. Great design, right? Totally great design. This is the top of the fan. There is a reverse switch on top of the fan. This here is your nice little speed knob. Kind of looks like a bathroom faucet, doesn't it? Yeah. Kinda weird. I don't know where these things were sold or who marketed them, but the tag says Magic Heat Corporation, Fan Series quote-unquote D. 120 volts, 75 watts, 60 hertz. So now we're going to see how this ungodly abomination actually performs. Now, in order to do that, because the fan doesn't have a pull chain, you have to turn the little faucet so the flow of current is unobstructed and actually enters the motor. 3 clicks, start on low. Them juices are flowing now. Yeah. Now, interestingly, the switch housing and canopy look like they came from an Emerson friction drive. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the specific parts were sourced from the same place. I'm sure Emerson got their parts from somewhere And then Magic Heat got their parts probably from the same manufacturer of the individual plastic parts. So that is my theory. It is unconfirmed, but either way, similar parts. A turd ball. Low speed is nice and aesthetic. I think the vent screen is contacting the flywheel, so it's making a little bit of a rubbing sound. As to when this fan could have been made, I want to say sometime in the early 80s, maybe late 70s. I honestly don't know. Information on these things is sparse, to say the least. There's a little bit of a hum, kind of typical considering the flywheel is solid plastic and kind of doesn't isolate vibrations and humming and such very well, if at all. Now, you're probably thinking plastic flywheel equals breakage. On this, you don't really have to worry. The blade irons weigh nothing. The blades weigh nothing. The weight altogether with these blades is incredibly low. So the odds of this flywheel breaking are slim, to say the least. So, alright, let's crank it up to medium. Yeah, the bearings are hissy, kind of loud, and the plastic parts kind of amplify the sound. Now, on medium, I want to say the medium is about the same as a Casablanca medium. It's not as fast as other mediums, but it's still noticeably higher than low, so there you go. Yeah, and if the flywheel on this does happen to break, you're screwed unless you make a new one, because the pitched sides are necessary for operation. You can't just replace it with some other flywheel with flat surfaces and expect this thing to actually, you know, be anything more than a decorative turd. Magic Heats in general are uncommon creatures. I've maybe seen one, which is in the Fanimation Museum currently, white with stencil, and another brass one with cane like this one somewhere on Craigslist eons ago for far too much. They wanted $50, and that's laughable. Let's see what high does, shall we? No. Wrong way. There we go. Now on high, I want to say it does 160 RPMs. And that's probably about as fast as it can go with these blades. Really, the stack motor in this thing is probably designed for a 42-inch or 36-inch fan. Yeah, so it's extremely underpowered for the blade size. But the blades weigh nothing, they have very little pitch. 160 RPM. And because the blade irons are plastic, any casting mistake means things will be a bit off. If the blades are mismatched, and chances are they are in terms of weight, wobble. Nothing you can really do about it, except maybe balancing the blades individually. Now, the term knockoff, or copy, well, specifically knockoff, it basically means to copy something. like, Magic Heat decided they would copy the Hunter original. Now, there are good knockoffs, like the Classic Fan Company, which actually made original copies that were arguably better than actual Hunters made in the same time period, late 70s, early 80s. This thing is why people think knockoffs suck. This thing is on the really bad end of the spectrum here. Yeah. This thing, compared to an original, is a piece of flying garbage. Every piece is plastic. Almost every piece is plastic. It's underpowered. Barely moves air. Well, it moves air, but not very much. Like, far less than pretty much any other stack motor fan. So, yeah, it's disturbing, cringeworthy. Now we let it coast down. If this thing wasn't in, like, good shape, and let's say the motor was burned out, and maybe the blades were chipped or split or whatever, I would throw this thing off of a rooftop. Because, honestly, that's the fate something like this actually deserves. But this thing, it's absolutely horrid in terms of quality, but it's weird. It's friggin' weird as hell. And I like weird, even if it sucks. So, yeah. I would say this thing is on the same quality as those plantation fans, whatever they're called, gear-driven things that were magazine orderable back in the 80s. Except this thing, it's actually somewhat functional. Somewhat. And I'm stretching that term. So. There you have it. A Magic Heat original knockoff. One of the crappiest fans ever made.